The boy stood alone at the edge of the vast, glowing stage, his small figure almost swallowed by the lights, the cameras, and the towering expectations of the moment. From the outside, he looked like just another contestant, thin, nervous, dressed simply, but inside him lived a lifetime of stories shaped by hunger, hope, and unbreakable dreams. The audience did not yet know his name, nor did they know that within minutes their hearts would be shattered and healed at the same time. He came from a tiny village in the Philippines, a place where the mornings smelled of salt from the sea and the evenings echoed with the sound of worn-out radios playing old love songs. His home was a fragile wooden house with a rusted tin roof that rattled loudly whenever the rain came. During storms, he and his family would huddle together, praying the wind would spare them for another night. Poverty was not something he read about or watched on television, it was something he woke up to every day. His father had once been a fisherman, strong and proud, but years of exhaustion and illness had stolen his strength. Some days, his father could barely get out of bed. His mother worked wherever she could, washing clothes, cleaning houses, selling small snacks on the roadside, but it was never enough. Many nights, they slept with empty stomachs, and the boy learned early how to silence his hunger with water and imagination. Music was the only luxury in his life. It did not cost money, and it asked for nothing in return. He sang while helping his mother, sang while walking barefoot to school, sang while staring at the stars at night. His voice became his escape, a bridge between the life he had and the life he dreamed of. When he sang, the cracked walls of his home disappeared, and he felt rich in a way no money could ever buy. Sometimes he sang for coins in the street. People would pass him by, some smiling, some ignoring him completely. A few would stop, surprised that such a powerful voice could come from someone so small. Every coin he earned went into his mother's hands. He never complained. In his mind, singing was already a reward. When he first heard about America's Got Talent, it felt like a fantasy too big to touch. A show watched by millions across the world, a stage where dreams either bloomed or broke. Yet the idea refused to leave him. He imagined himself standing there, singing not just for money or survival, but for his family, his village, and every child who believed dreams were only for the lucky. The journey to the audition was long and uncertain. It involved borrowed money, endless paperwork, and moments when it seemed impossible to continue. There were nights when his mother cried quietly, afraid of hoping too much. The boy held onto her hands and promised her that no matter what happened, he would sing with all his heart. That promise became his strength. Now, standing on the AGT stage, the reality felt overwhelming. The judges sat before him, famous, powerful, their expressions unreadable. The audience stretched endlessly into darkness, thousands of eyes waiting. His hands trembled slightly as he introduced himself. His voice was soft at first, shy, but when he spoke about his life, about his family, about singing to survive, the room grew silent. There was no pity in his words, only honesty. He spoke like someone who had known pain but refused to let it define him. The judges listened carefully. One of them leaned forward, another nodded slowly. The audience could already sense that this moment was going to be different. Then the music began. The first note escaped his lips like a confession. Clear, emotional, filled with longing. His voice carried the weight of every struggle he had faced, every tear he had swallowed, every night he had sung to forget hunger. It was not just technically beautiful, it was real. The kind of voice that doesn't ask to be judged, only felt. As the song progressed, his confidence grew. He closed his eyes, surrendering himself completely to the music. Each lyric sounded like it had been written for him. The audience began to react instinctively, hands over mouths, quiet sobs, eyes shining with emotion. Somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered, "Oh my God," and it rippled like a wave. The judges were no longer just listening, they were experiencing him. One judge wiped away tears, another shook their head in disbelief. They had seen thousands of performances, but this one cut through all the noise. This was not about perfection. It was about truth. When he reached the final note, he held it with everything he had. It rang through the theater, powerful and fragile at the same time. And then, silence. For a split second, the world seemed to stop. Then the entire audience rose to their feet. The applause was thunderous, relentless, filled with awe and respect. People cheered, cried, clapped until their hands hurt. The boy opened his eyes, startled by the reaction. He looked around, unsure if this was really happening. His chest rose and fell rapidly as tears welled up in his eyes. The judges stood as well. One of them spoke first, their voice shaking. They told him that his voice was not just a talent, but a gift. Another judge said they could feel his life in every word he sang. They praised not only his ability, but his courage, to stand there, to share his pain, to turn suffering into something beautiful. The boy nodded repeatedly, overwhelmed, tears now freely streaming down his face. He whispered, "Thank you," again and again, his voice barely audible. Then came the moment that would change everything. One judge stood up, walked toward the giant golden buzzer, and looked back at the boy. They spoke about dreams, about hope, about how sometimes the world needs reminders of why talent truly matters. They said his performance was one of those reminders. The judge pressed the buzzer. Golden confetti exploded from above, raining down like sunlight. The audience screamed. The music swelled. The boy froze in shock, his hands flying to his mouth. For a moment, he couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. He had seen this moment on television, but never imagined it would happen to him. As the golden confetti covered the stage, he dropped to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Years of hardship, fear, and silent prayers poured out in that instant. The judges rushed to the stage, wrapping him in hugs. The audience continued cheering, chanting his name. Somewhere across the ocean, in a small wooden house in the Philippines, his family watched on a flickering screen. His mother cried harder than she ever had before, not from pain, but from relief. His father held his chest, whispering prayers of gratitude. Neighbors gathered around, sharing the moment as if it belonged to all of them. That night, the boy did not just win a golden buzzer. He won validation. He proved that greatness does not come from comfort, but from courage. He showed the world that even the poorest child can carry a voice powerful enough to shake hearts across continents. His story spread quickly, online, on news channels, in conversations among strangers. People didn't just talk about his voice, they talked about his journey. He became a symbol of hope for millions who felt unseen, unheard, forgotten. And yet, despite the sudden fame, the boy remained the same. Humble. Grateful. Determined. He spoke about wanting to build a better home for his family, about helping his parents rest, about continuing his education. He said he wanted to inspire other children to believe in themselves, no matter where they came from. On that AGT stage, under golden rain and roaring applause, the world didn't just discover a talented singer. It discovered a reminder that dreams are not limited by borders, wealth, or circumstance. Sometimes, they arrive barefoot, trembling, and full of scars, ready to sing their truth. And when they do, the world listens.